Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's edition of EverWorker Live. My name is Austin Bram, and I am the AI evangelist here at EverWorker. And today I have the privilege of interviewing again and speaking with my colleague, Joshua Sylvia, who is our Director of Growth Marketing here at EverWorker. Joshua, just real quick, first off, thank you very much for joining us today. If you wouldn't mind, just giving a brief description, brief introduction of yourself about and a little of the work that you do here at EverWorker.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me back. So I have about 15 years experience in SEO, PPC, social media, the whole growth package. At EverWorker, I do the same, right? So it's, SEO, paid initiatives, and overall just growth marketing of the brand.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Joshua. And then just real quick before we get started, some more or less housekeeping that I guess we could say. First things first, that we always want to make very, very clear on these live streams is we want them to be as interactive as possible for whoever is watching. So if you have any comments, like let's say on LinkedIn, you can't, let's say, chat, but what you can do is you can put comments, and then we can actually see your comments and answer your comments live. You can put it in the chat if you're watching from the actual StreamYard site. So that's the big thing here, is we want this to be as interactive as possible. So at any time, if you have anything that you'd like to comment or anything, throw it in the chat or throw it in the comments, depending on where you're watching from. And we'll try to answer it in whatever way that we can. Or if not, we'll have some time at the end that we can also go back and listen and kind of see what people have said. Or, of course, after all that, you can then reach out to us on LinkedIn and all that. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But first things first, what I want to do is I want to actually kind of just start off with a brief introduction slides for us to kind of paint the picture, paint the scene here for all of us to go through. So the big things that we want to do here, and actually I'll pull you away here, Joshua, just so we can see the screen here. But the big thing that we want to get people to understand is that AI is dramatically transforming the whole marketplace, every industry, but today we're talking about marketing. So according to AI Invest, AI is actually 30 times faster than just humans doing things in the traditional way, marketing-wise. Let's say that would be kind of like what we're talking about today, writing blogs, social media posts, emails, SEO, all that. And then according to SEO.com, as of right now in the marketing kind of industry, it is as of right now $47.32 billion industry right now. But by 2028, it will get all the way up to 107.58 billion. So obviously a massive increase in revenue, basically, and how much money is being pumped into the marketing space when it comes to AI. And then according to SurveyMonkey, this one was quite interesting to me. And Joshua and I can attest to this from ourselves. There is a 88% reliance on AI that marketers have filled out a survey more or less saying that they are using AI in every aspect of their work. And Joshua and I, like I said, can attest to this because we are part of that 88% that of course, reliance sounds bad and sounds negative, but in the way of we are truly trying to be AI native, AI first in the way that we work. So AI is everywhere in the marketing space, and I'm sure that you all have seen the same thing. So that kind of comes down to who is EverWorker? What do we do? EverWorker is the easiest and the fastest way to employ AI workers. So you've probably heard, obviously, of Agentic AI, which also inherently is AI agents. We like to call them AI workers because we believe that they're inherently different. An AI agent is just going to do more or less tasks here and there, depending on whatever you program it to do. Whereas we believe that AI workers, especially through our platform, do more holistic work to work alongside the human. So it's not just doing tasks, but it's doing actual work. Now, our platform is a no-code or low-code platform. There's plenty of people that we've talked to that say, hey, I really enjoy coding my solutions, or at least being a part of that So it can be much more personalized to the way that I like to do it, whatever it may be. You have the choice to be no code, like for someone like Joshua and I that don't know how to code, or it can be low code, as well as this is completely tailored to your business. Whereas we have already into our platform itself a database that you can input whatever information that you would like. Obviously, you take out what you don't want in there, but you put in what you do want. Any kind of information about your business, about your company. Let's say, for example, like what Joshua and I are going to be talking about today, is marketing processes. That's something that you can have in your database so that every single time that you're running your AI worker, it has that inherent knowledge of, in this case, your marketing work, your marketing workflows, what is the kind of the marketing strategy you have, whatever it may be. But then we also have the expertise that is built into more or less the whole EverWorker platform because of things like this, where we have these weekly live streams, and we're going to have more and more actual live streams coming in the future too, where it's more than just 1 week, one per week, that can help you and teach you. Okay, maybe I'm working on it with EverWorker, and I want to learn more. Okay, you can watch these. We have our YouTube channel, we have our LinkedIn channels, we have all of our social medias, as well as we do have, if you've watched any of our previous live streams where we've kind of interacted and interviewed some of our AI engineers, we have a whole professional services team that their whole job is to help our customers with building their sophisticated AI workers as more or less a whole system. So all that is part of what EverWorker does. So you can think of it this way. We've all probably seen this from when we were kids, or if you have kids, teaching them this, that when it comes down to an iceberg, there's about 90% of the iceberg that is below the water that we cannot see. The top 10% is just the pretty part that we do see. The EverWorker platform has abstracted away all of the complex aspects of an AI system that you would have to do and figure out yourself if you were doing this and trying to build this all on your own. So that just the top 10% is that you see the beautiful, the ready to go AI workers that are built to do exactly what you're looking for. We take care of all the RAG infrastructure, we take care of all the database, we take care of all the integrations, etc. But then this kind of comes down to, as marketers, there are some major bottlenecks that we in the industry run into. Scale/speed, personalization, and inefficiency. Those are kind of the main things that we run into for the most part traditionally, but then even now in the AI augmented space, where you're just, let's say using ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, things like that, where you're still going to be running into aspects of these three bottlenecks. Now, traditionally, if you were going to think of building this yourself, on average, we have found that is about a $400,000 spend to build, let's say, a sophisticated AI system for your company. And especially if you're trying to create AI agents, that actually takes things to a whole nother level. Now, of course, that's on average. It can be lower, it can be higher. But then it goes into the whole idea of also, on average, there's about a 6 to 12 month span to which it comes to, idea to actual integration into your company. 6 to 12 months of your AI engineers' time, your CTO's time, your CIO's time, managers, a whole slew of people in your business that can and should be doing something else, which is their time that also goes into that $400,000 spend. And then the thing that really even comes further on top of this is depending on especially where you see this, because different sources have slightly different numbers, there's about an 80 to an 88% failure rate when it comes down to AI pilots. Now, if you're at a company right now, I know I was previously in different organizations, that these companies realize that they need to start trying to build with AI and start trying things with AI. And it takes that time, and it more or less just keeps trying to eventually you have this idea of, now I've been seeing it, on LinkedIn. I'm sure maybe you all have seen as well on YouTube, different places around, that there is kind of an AI dread that is happening right now, because They tried something with AI and it didn't work. So they kind of just give up on it altogether. Now, one thing that Joshua and I will kind of talk about later too, that was actually quite shocking, was in our case, we're going to be going over an AI worker that Joshua built that can specifically take internal documents and kind of his own system prompts that he built to then create blogs, social media posts, emails, SEO content for the website. And we're just using the blog example here. Traditionally speaking, a company would be, let's say, as Joshua said, and we'll talk about it later, 3 to 5 blogs maybe per quarter would be like what most people are doing. They're not really focusing on it. And when you want to think about scaling your content, your content generation, let's use the example of 1,000 blogs. So obviously that would be, over a period of time. But traditionally speaking, if you were to do the normal way of 3 to 5 blogs per quarter for the normal organization, that would take around 50 years to actually bring that to fruition. And if you go into the market right now, for the most part, if you're looking for a solid copywriting kind of company that you want to work with, or a freelancer on Fiverr, whatever it may be, if to make those 1,000 blogs, that would be about $150,000 spend for you to have for the 1,000 blogs. So as all that kind of just says, the traditional way of doing marketing, even with AI augmented marketing, it is just slow, it's expensive, and it oftentimes fails. But EverWorker delivers that fastest time to market, the lowest cost, and it's the easiest way to create and employ these personalized, hyper-personalized AI workers, which we'll look into with Joshua after this. Now, this is just one of those things that I'm more or less, Peter, our CEO, is more or less our sales team, hearing this all the time, is that we're just not seeing the ROI from AI, from implementing AI into our business. And we have found real tangible results with looking at 70 different companies that we've worked with, that the impact is absolutely clear. We'll even just focus on the first one. We don't have to go into all this, is the whole idea of revenue per employee. The traditional way of doing work, especially let's say, in general with marketing, you want to think of it as how much revenue does each employee bring in theoretically. The traditional way, $250,000 to $500,000 per revenue. But then you have AI augmented, the companies that are at least using AI in some way. Even that's a drastic increase, with $500,000 to $1 million. But then you have the idea of an AI first company, where the whole idea is looking at every aspect of your business and initially asking yourself, can AI be used here, and how can I use this? Rather than just the AI engineers at your company, the IT team, all the way down to people like Joshua and I in the marketing team. Everyone's using AI. The revenue per employee can go up to 1.5 million to 3 million. And then of course, it's going to go even further in the future. So there are real tangible results that we are already seeing in the market when it comes down to implementing AI. So now, kind of lastly for us, just in case now you're very interested, okay, so what does it actually mean to work with EverWorker? We have 3 main ways that we work with people as of right now. We have our discovery workshops, which is more or less where we kind of come in, we work with your team, whoever you want to be there, where we create a simple business use cases that you can actually quantifiably add into your business to make a quantifiable difference. And then we help build those proof of concepts for you. But then we have the second way, which is kind of where our AI engineers really shine, and our professional services team really shine, is that you say, hey, these are the use cases. Let's work with you to create these sprints. And then we want you to build them for us. That's where we have our whole team of AI engineers. They do this day in and day out to build these hyper sophisticated and hyper personalized AI workers. But then we have our on-site training, and I'll also throw in there our online training, where these on-site trainings, you can bring us in where we can almost teach you how to be AI first in the first place. We take different parts of your team to then start learning all about the AI fundamentals and introducing the Agentic AI system of EverWorker. But then also on top of that is we do have our free EverWorker Academy that we have our first course out right now, the AI Fundamentals for Business Professionals. That is, like I said, free for anyone to take, whether you get a certificate at the end and you can share it on LinkedIn. I'll show you all that after this, but I just want to throw that out there for all those that are interested. Okay, as I go into this, how do I start working with EverWorker? That's how you can start. So as we then bring Joshua kind of back in here, we're going to take a look at the AI worker that he has built and kind of go through in the first place, how did this come about? All the questions like that. So Joshua, I'll bring you in right here. First and foremost, Joshua, as you kind of pull up your what's it called, the AI canvas here, if you wouldn't mind just starting, from the very beginning, what kind of prompted you to create this content marketing AI worker?
Well, content at scale, quality content at scale for SEO would be the primary reason. And if I could actually go into a few templates,
of course,
just to kind of describe the process, right? So when we're thinking of using AI for SEO content, we want to make the content unique. And there's certain ways we can approach that. So we created a fake company, in this case called Acme Security. And so for Acme Security, right, the company's going to have messaging. So we're going to upload that into our AI system, right? It's going to go into all of Acme Security's positioning, messaging around ransomware, because this is going to be a ransomware project that I'm going to share. So you just go down, you kind of look, this is stuff that you're feeding to your AI system. So you have your messaging. Next, we'll add our persona. So for these blogs, this social media content, these emails, we're going to be targeting an enterprise IT security lead. You could have a bunch of job titles here, right? There's no limit on what you could do here. You could actually see there's some extra job titles down here, some functions, company profile, right? So this is, again, feeding, we have the messaging. Now we're kind of feeding the AI the persona of who we're writing the content for. All this is very important. Next, we'll move on to a transcript. So a lot of companies, right, their CEO, their managers, right, like us, like we're on a webinar now, right? We can use this webinar transcript for a blog or for just overall input into the AI system. So this would be an example of taking a CEO speech from Acme Security about ransomware. And you can see we have a lot of unique ransomware information in here.
So Joshua, real quick on this, kind of, especially from like your deep expertise when it comes to marketing, this is one of those things that that you're kind of mentioning. Most companies will have some aspect of these internal documents already on hand, just from previous projects, basically, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, especially at a big B2B company, there's webinars and white papers every single day. Like I've worked at companies where like every day there's just content coming out from all different angles, and yeah, there's so much there that you can pull from.
And I remember, in the past when we've talked about this, I mean, because for everyone to know, we actually use this AI worker that Joshua has built for our work. You've even mentioned that, like, just the snippet that we're going to be showing this AI worker, which is we're going to see an absolutely massive AI worker that does a ton of things. And that's only even one part of the overall work in project part, I guess, of the workflow in general, right? This is not even the whole entire thing. This is just one part of it.
Correct. All these documents that I'm sharing here are based off of templates that AI systems would create. So you would go and you would ask the Agentic AI system, right, to kind of build your persona, to build your requirements, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, so let's dive into the actual worker on the platform, and if you wouldn't mind, I mean, obviously for everyone it's going to be huge. We can't see every aspect of it at one time because it's a massive AI worker. Can you just kind of briefly tell us about what is it actually producing for everyone? So
if I could, I just wanted to share this is the full workflow that we're gonna upload. So if we were to go to 4, right, we're going to have, so this will be an example of a white paper. So as we mentioned, there's lots of white papers out there to put into the system. at large companies, excuse me. 5 would be a use case. So companies have lots of use cases. You want to take your use case, plug it into the system, right? This is going to help your messaging even more because it's going to understand how you serve your personas, your customers, and the services you provide. 6 would be keyword targets. So as we're writing the content, right, we want to kind of have our pillar cluster. So this is, every SEO will know the kind of the pillar cluster model. So you have a pillar being ransomware recovery, and then you want to have clusters. Clusters basically support the pillar. And by using this kind of grouped content technique, you create authority with Google and the search engines. Like, hey, yeah, this website has a lot of great content around ransomware recovery. There's interlinking that takes place in these blog creations that kind of link everything together. And that's really where the secret sauce is, right? If you just make one blog on one topic, you're not going to do as well as if you have these clusters kind of supporting.
Yeah, I remember you even mentioning that aspect of, like, we've talked about with other people in the past, is like, well, can't I just do this on ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini myself? And that, I feel like that aspect of kind of what you just said really changes things.
Yeah, so all the stuff that we're showing here, you have to continually upload these to ChatGPT or to Gemini, and it's just not good, right? The process, like to continually upload documents, the same documents, and I've talked about this before with you, Austin, is when these systems like ChatGPT and Gemini, they have these memories now, which is great in a way, right? Previously, I used to have to go to the LLM and say, hey, role play, you are an SEO content creator at EverWorker. Now, once you tell it, you're like, hey, I'm an SEO content creator at EverWorker, it's going to know that. The problem is when you're using it a lot for content creation, you may want to write one piece of content a certain type of way, right? You may like want to frame it, don't use these words, kind of use this as, how we want to phrase the content. And so it'll make a memory of that. And the problem there is right now you are doing a white paper or a blog or a landing page 2 weeks later, it's pulling back from that memory from 2 weeks ago. And it's kind of messing up your content here. So what EverWorker does when we build these nodes, which we're going to show in a second, it allows you to kind of start fresh, but with memory every time. And so that's why having these type of templates or documents to kind of feed the system, which again, you can do with ChatGPT, but you can't do it the way that we can do it at EverWorker without the baggage. This would be finally the cluster, right? So we have a template for the pillar, we have a template for the cluster. So all that. So those are the documents. Now to the fun part of the actual agent in the studio. See here for the agent inputs. So everything we just covered, right? You would basically come into the system, you just upload it. And this is what I mean by you have like a fresh node where I don't have to upload it every single time. It's in there. I can use that on and on and on for different projects.
Mm-hmm.
And then we talked about the pillar cluster. So you can see here, the pillar here is ransomware recovery. These are the clusters. So it's all going to be related to kind of ransomware recovery. Down here, the next pillar would be ransomware backup. We have the clusters. And so that kind of what we had shown, right? It kind of, you get the idea here of what you would map out and what it would kind of look like for the content side.
It's a very logical flow, basically.
Correct. And then because we have a lot of direction in those templates that we uploaded, our system prompts are still valuable, but they don't need to be as prescriptive because again, we have the document. So it tells you like how to the messaging, right? And all that stuff is kind of already loaded in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when I built this, it created, I believe we have 3 pillars with 5 clusters each. So it's 18 blogs at one time. If I hit this button, it'll create 18 blogs at one time. It'll also create social media, right, for each blog post that we create. So there's 18 blog posts created. There's 18 social media posts created. Also on top of that, we have email. So it's not an email for everyone, but we have 3 emails that would go out essentially based off of this workflow. So it's 18 blogs, 18 18 social media posts, and 3 emails, all kind of created off of those documents and that information that we just fed into the system. Which again,
yes.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
If I go to ChatGPT, right, it's not that it's hard, but there is limitation on capacity because you have to sit there, you have to upload these documents, you have to go back and forth, and it can take half hour, 45 minutes to make a blog, even with AI, right? People just think AI, because what you don't want to do, you don't want to go to these AI systems and say, just write a blog. That's the worst thing you can do because Google is going to penalize you. You're going to have duplicate content. And that's why you see a lot of people on LinkedIn complaining about lost traffic. It's because their content creation with AI isn't unique enough. It's not thoughtful enough. It's not anything new. It's, there's no new value to it. It's just generic copy.
Yeah. And this kind of whole idea that we've seen here that you've built. This is also more or less like, since you were following, a specific workflow that you had in your mind to do 18 social media posts, 18 blogs, and then 3 emails, you could expand that to be double if you'd want. And you could just keep building. Now, of course, that would be an absolutely untenable AI worker to have to scroll through the whole entire thing. But this is more or less showing that you have the capacity to build it as complex as you would like for it to be.
Yeah, and we're just using blogs as an example. So landing pages would be another issue, another part of it, right? And again, because we uploaded all those documents, I could simply just add a node here, right? I could just simply add another node and connect it across for landing pages. So I could do a ransomware landing page, use case pages. Yeah, it's just endless that what you can do with EverWorker in the system.
No, for sure. I know that you've run this. Can you show us a little bit about what it's what it creates?
So you'll see it'll start to run. So we'd save it. We would click run here. I'm having some internet connectivity issues, so on my end. So it may just take a second. And there we go. So you would see now it's taking all of the documents that we uploaded into the system. It's going through a readability node, which essentially is just extracting the information from it. And now it's going to create the content, right? And we have, again, using the uploaded Acme security campaign documents as your primary guide. It's just a good prompt for the content, right? I'm not going to go into all of the prompts. But then it would run. So yeah, this is going to create all of the content we just mentioned. And then you would see it with something like this, right? So this is our UI. But this is really just to get the thought out there. We do Agentic AI, right? So think about if you were to run this and instead of it going to our UI like this, imagine it went to SharePoint. And then imagine from SharePoint, it went to HubSpot. Those are the kind of tools that we're building, the whole workflow. We want to build it. So when you press that button, it creates the blogs, the landing pages. It pushes it to HubSpot. It stages those with the content you just created. It could even push them to, social media. And that's really the agentic part. So not only do we have a better product for content creation based off of, what I've shared, but just the overall, what you can do with our product it's not comparable. So because people just think, right, I can just use ChatGPT, I can just use Gemini. It's you can't use Gemini to create files and post across each channel.
And that's kind of one of the big things that even for anyone that hasn't seen, I actually interviewed our Chief Product Officer, Anton Antich, who is the mind behind building our platform around our universal connector, which is basically if anything that you're trying to connect to has an API, we have the ability to connect to it. As long as there's an API and as long as you have the authority to, post, get, whatever you want to do with this API, we can connect to it. And you can connect your AI worker to do exactly what Joshua just said. So it kind of takes the complexity out. You don't have to worry about MCP. You don't have to worry about A2A protocol. It's all built into our universal connector that you can literally just add into your worker, which we're going to continuously show as you know, as time goes on to these different live streams. But thank you very much for kind of showing all that, Joshua. Now, lastly, what kind of last things I have for you, if you would like to connect with either Joshua or I, here are QR codes. Mine's right next to my head. Joshua's next to his head. And you can actually connect with us on LinkedIn, should you desire. If you want to figure out, okay, how can I actually implement and start working with EverWorker, you can reach out to either of us. We both kind of put out content as well, showing about the power of these AI workers. But then last thing, I do want to kind of do a quick shout out. I'll get us off the stage here. Is that I want to show everyone kind of there it is, our EverWorker Academy. Like I kind of mentioned in the beginning, this is a free course for everyone. Most people come to me and they're like, if you follow me on LinkedIn, you know I'm like almost obsessed with AI certifications and all that. And they ask, how can I start learning about AI? How can I start getting certified in different parts of AI? That's where we've built this AI fundamentals for business professionals on our EverWorker Academy site, that you can take this free course, get a certificate like this at the very end, post it on your LinkedIn, and put on your resume, whatever it is, showing that you have both learned the fundamentals of AI in general around business, but then also we go into how to build on our platform in that same certification. So it only takes a few hours of your time, and it will give you, vast amounts of knowledge and basically experience at this point, getting you ready for this agentic AI revolution and the changing of the AI workforce. So if you want to kind of sign up for EverWorker Academy, all you have to do is go to workeracademy.ai. I'll throw it on the screen right here. You can register at workeracademy.ai. And if you do go through this course, all we ask for you to do is post it on your LinkedIn, tag us, and we would love to repost you basically taking this next step and becoming certified. So if you're interested in that, please head over to workeracademy.ai. But besides that, Joshua, thank you very much for your time today. I know we'll continue to do things like this, and we're going to continuously iterate on this worker as well, because once you get started, it more or less gives you ideas on how to continuously build. So if you want to request a demo from us, go ahead and head over to everworker.ai. And then if not, we will see you next week at our next EverWorker live session. And Joshua, once again, thank you very much. And we'll talk to you later.
Take care. Thank you.